Okay, just want to check that everyone can see that. Good. Thank you for joining us. I hope you find it relatively interesting. I'm sure you read the invite, and as Elena just took you through what we're going to do. But today we just want to take you through some tips as to how you can launch a digital brand globally. Going to focus on your audience groups and how you can gather their needs, your brand, so design, tone of voice, and then some tools that should get you going. Just so you know who we are before we start, my name's Dan. I'm a project manager at Reading Room. The second person we're talking to you is Mark. He's a designer. And then there's Dalton, who's a front-end developer, so he deals with user experience. So yeah, just to let you know who we are as an agency. Our name is Reading Room, and we were set up in 1996 by our CEO, and we're a global team of digital consultants. We help our clients achieve their digital goals through a mixture of technical, creative, and business consultancy. What does that mean? Basically means that we try and create useful experiences for users. So the user is at the heart of everything we do. Understanding your objectives. So I guess particularly when I started out at Reading Room, I was quite keen to just do design and build what I wanted to do. But that's you need to think about what your actual objectives are before you start building a website or setting up a social media profile. So our clients tend to have a set of KPIs, which are basically a list. They can be numerical, they can be anecdotal, just a list of things that they'll be measuring once their site goes live. And that will always be based on the objectives of their business at large. So it's not just about what your website is doing. Some of our clients tend to have bigger marketing campaigns. We did a campaign about a year ago for Visit England, who are a tourist board here in the UK, for using characters from Wallace and Gromit. And that website was a very small part of a massive campaign. I think there were a couple of people who dressed up as the characters and went around the country presenting to people, just trying to get people incentivized to visit places in the UK. So a website is very important, but you need to put it into the context of everything else you're doing as well. So TV campaigns, etc. Yeah, and so you need to ask yourself what you're looking to achieve by having a website. Why do you need one? It's not good enough just to say, oh, I want a website. You need to think about why you need that website and what it's going to achieve for you. KPIs is, it's an acronym, it's a marketing acronym, but if you're unsure where to start, have a think about some brands that you know, like iTunes, for example. Everyone knows that. Their business model is based on sales. It's purely driven by sales and media, like songs. So one of their KPIs could be, for example, so when they were setting out, we want to sell 60 million downloadable tracks per day. So that should inform the sort of site or platform they're building. That does sound like a lot, but iTunes sold 23 billion tracks last year, so it's pretty reasonable for them. So moving on. So once you've understood what your business model is, what you want to achieve as a person or a business, you need to start focusing on what your users want. So there's no point setting up a website if you've got no one visiting it. It's just pointless. So as I said, yeah, this is important because what users acknowledging what they want is essential for the success of that website. By understanding their needs and what they want from you and from the website, you can create an experience which enables them to find exactly what they're looking for, whatever that might be, and fast. So again, using iTunes as an example, when you hit the front page, it's very clear what they're selling and what they're promoting, and it's so easy to just buy a track that you'd have to go through several different pages to do that. If you've got the charts on the right hand side where you can literally buy a song as soon as you see it, and that's what it's about. If you want to know how to find that out, because obviously it's good enough for me to say listen to your users, but who are they? Just speak to people. Who are the sorts of people that you're trying to target? You can hold workshops, so literally getting everyone to a room, just talking to them. You can talk to them on the phone, just write up a few questions to them about what you want to know. Or you can send out surveys. And I put a little star there because things like that don't need to cost anything, that they can be free. So there is a site called SurveyMonkey, which I've actually used quite a lot for my clients, and it's really, really easy to use. It's very, really easy instruction to follow. You can create it in seconds and it's entirely free. You can send it out to all over the world. You can send it out by email. When you're having these, so if you're doing a workshop or talking to people on the phone, the most important thing to work out is what are their pain points. So what annoys them about, are there any websites they're using where they're finding the experience really annoying? But also then what do they enjoy about writing? Are there any particular websites they do enjoy? So anything from, as I said, iTunes to Amazon, YouTube, social media, what do they like about them? You need to work out how much time they have as well. If people are quite time poor, like some of our clients, some of our the users of our clients are, they might be accessing the internet from a phone, in which case you need to know that before you start any sort of build. Because if you build a website which is just going to look good on the screen, like the screen we're presenting to you now, that's pretty useless to anyone who's trying to look at a website via a mobile. So once you've understood that, you've got your needs, you've got your user needs, what happens next? So you need to put all of those needs, bring them together, prioritize them in a list, make sure you've got the most important one at the top and, I guess the least important but still relevant one at the bottom, and then start to construct user journeys around them. So, a user journey could be something like, okay, someone hits the home page of my website. How do they get to information about your brand, for example? So you could have a section of your website which is about us, and then about your brand, whatever the name of your company is, and that's quite a straightforward user journey. Speaking of brand, I'm going to now pass you on to Mark Spiders, who's our designer, who's going to take you through a few things about thinking about your brand and your tone of voice. So I'm going to move off now.
So we're going to start talking specifically around design and brand in this section of the presentation. The best way to think of a brand is to think of how you present yourself, how you dress your hair, how you interact with others. That is in part part of your brand. So a brand for a company is like a reputation for a person. So when a brand is a set of perceptions and associations that differentiates and adds value. And companies try to generate and influence those associations through their marketing materials to help the performance of their company. So most brands are based around a big idea that tries and captures the essence of a brand. To take IKEA as an example, their big idea was that good product design is for everybody and not just for those in the know about design. They have products at affordable prices where the customer can literally build their own furniture based on their own taste. Amazon's was to provide the widest amount of products in one place, to build a place where people can come to and find or discover anything. So when Amazon launched their brand online, there were a couple of other ideas that they brought onto their website in order to satisfy that one big idea. The first thing that I found when the site went live was consumer doubt about the purchases that they were about to make. So they introduced customer reviews where people could see and read other people's opinions of the products that they were about to buy, and that made them more confident in their purchase. The next thing, they analysed user behaviour and saw there was a relationship between what people were about to buy and what they were buying at the time, so they developed a recommendation module based around the idea of being able to suggest a next purchase. And then all the customers that bought from Amazon are there because of the ease of shopping. They developed the one-click ordering processes and ensured next-day delivery to enhance that. So the big ideas behind that was that they were trustful, helpful, and competent. So if we think of Amazon as a person, we could say that they were honest, reliable, and trustworthy. Moving on to design elements that promote a brand. When we start looking at branding, it normally starts off with designing logos. And here are some examples of some really nice logos that I'm sure we all know. And the idea behind a really good logo is to try and capture the essence of that company and what they do. So again, taking Amazon as an example, they've got an amazing amount of products that you can browse with a smile. So the idea that it's easy to be able to buy anything from A to Z on the site. The Sony Vaio logo is describing both the analog wave and the digital binary code. So there's the idea that that laptop can deliver all of your media needs from music through to digital film. And then the Nomic logo, we all know, and it's interesting to note that that Nike logo, you don't even need the word Nike with it for us to be able to recognise it. So how do we support brand values online? We we go through a series of staged workshops with people within the company to discuss what the internal corporate direction for the website should be. We then move on to personas, where we agree the type of people who visit a site and what they need to get from their journey. We then distill those types of people into a single character we can use to give a face to decisions we make around navigation and calls to action. We then move into being able to determine what the visual style of the site should be, and we do those with mood boards. So rather than jumping in with finished designs of home pages, internal pages, we set a style with found imagery that describes different looks and feel. We can then make a decision around the visual direction with the client without having to dive straight into decisions about how navigation should look or what the call to action on the homepage should be. Other elements that we look at are tone of voice, copywriting. So as well as deciding a visual style, it's worth looking at how a company presents itself with words. A company can be informal and warm, or it can be very business-like and authoritative when it's describing itself. And it's really how you're talking to your target audience. And then when we actually move into the design properly of pages, we'll start looking at rich media and ways in which we can diversify content delivery in order to provide multiple ways to keep users engaged and stimulated. So types of interactivity can include infographics, video, accordions, and tweets. So brands are about design, big ideas, storytelling, consistency, and standing out from the crowd. So this slide is really just saying, again, just going back to that standing out from the crowd, it's important to be different when you're presenting your company and its offerings because everyone else is taken. So the changing face of brands. Within the digital sphere, brands are beginning to look for a relationship with us. And online, this means they need to be social, human, and transparent. So this goes back to the Amazon reviews and recommends. It's not Amazon just telling us what we need to buy or we should buy. It's us creating a community around their product offering and encouraging one another to engage with the company and the products that they sell. So that's very different to before the internet, where companies could push product at people. So you think of television advertising where you're a captive audience and you have to sit through 3 or 4 minutes of people trying to sell you stuff before you get back to your program. Today, companies need to pull us into engaging with them. So somebody like Facebook need us to like them. And that's really about creating a community around products again. So we take Apple as an example. They started off making computers. They then developed the iPod and the iPhone. And these became successful both in and of themselves, but also because of the services that Apple built around products, services like iTunes and the App Store, places where we can go to buy music, film, and games, and create a community around what we like. Google would be another example of that, where it started off as a search engine, and it now provides a place to hang out with friends in Google+, and manufactures computers, software, needing glasses all around place, around making our life easier. So because of digital, we have much more of a two-way conversation with the company's brand, and that's why brands today need to be the authentic selves. Otherwise, as with individuals, we won't trust or engage with them, and ultimately will unlike them. So that's a bit about how we put together brand and design and front-end look and feel. And once we have done that, we'd hand over to front-end developers in order to build the website. I'll hand over to Dolta to talk a little bit about that.
Hi, I'm Dolta. I'm an interface developer here at Reed. And so I'm going to talk about now, once you've got your design, you know what your objectives are, how do you get a website online? What free tools can you use to achieve this? So, to get a website online, you need, first of all, to register a domain. So, obviously, going back to examples, Amazon, have Amazon.com, Apple, have Apple.com. The most likely domain you're going to have is your company name.com. Obviously, there's lots of country-level domains as well, so .eu, .uk, whatever country you might be from, you probably want to buy up those domains as well. You also need website hosting, because obviously a website needs to live somewhere. The actual files need to be hosted so people can access them. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how to do this, because literally a quick Google search on domain registration or web hosting, there's so many service providers out there that can do this for you, and it's very, very easy to set up. What we're going to be focused on now is how to create a website, and 3 ways in which you can do that. So you can use a content management system, abbreviated to CS. You can use an online website building service, or you can code your own website from scratch. So we'll just go and have a look at the 3 different options here now. So using a CMS, I've just got a couple of examples there, WordPress and Drupal. Both of these are very well established, completely free and open source, and they're available to download and set up by anyone who wants to have a go with them. So the pros with this approach, there are loads of free themes available. So if your design skills aren't that amazing, or if you just want to get a website up quickly, you can go and pick out a theme that you think suits your brand, add your logo to it, and you can have a website up quite quickly. Obviously, as it's a content management system, this means that many people will be able to add and edit content very easily simultaneously. So it's good if you have a large organisation, or if you've got multiple people who need to be owning different parts of content on your website. Another benefit of this approach is, as it's open source, there's a massive community behind it. There's lots of plugins and modules that you can just use as well. It's very similar to themes. If there's something you think of that you want to do, so if you want to have a social media feed on your website, there'll be a plugin for a Twitter feed. There'll be a plugin for a Facebook feed, or kind of social like buttons, kind of e-commerce modules, anything you can think of. The chances are someone will have built it already, and there's massive communities around that to support you setting this up. Some of the cons about this approach is that it is quite technical, so you have to have a little bit of technical knowledge, or be willing to kind of learn a little bit about it, because you have to get a database set up and get it linked up. Some web service providers, some hosting providers, DreamHost is one I can think of off the top of my head, have one-click installs. So basically, you just have to press a button, and you'll have a WordPress site created for you, and then you can just go and add a theme, add your content, and set it up how you want, which is pretty handy. But another con is that it does require a little bit of maintenance. As they're open source, they release patches for security and stability fairly regularly, so you need to be able to apply those when they come around. So we'll move on now to the online website building services. A couple of examples here, Moonfruit and Weebly.com. Again, there are loads of these available, offering kind of different types of services, but they're all fairly similar in that the pros of them are they're very easy to use, very quick to set up. You can get a website online in a day and have a shopping basket selling some of your products very, very quickly. Also, don't usually have to worry about hosting because they're supplying the service. That will usually be a part of it as well. They may try and sell you domain names too. So that kind of moves on to the cons a little bit, is that they can be quite restrictive in that if it can't do what you want out of the box, it's quite difficult to make it work for you. They're also often tied into premium services, so a lot of them allow you to set up a website for free, but as soon as you want to do anything a bit more complicated, like add e-commerce, they will probably start charging you for that, and the rates can be quite high. Also, one major problem with these is that they are quite proprietary, so it's quite difficult to move provider. Once you've built a website in moonfruit.com, for example, it's very difficult. You can't just then decide, okay, I'm going to take that website and move it and host it myself, because it doesn't quite work. You won't get access to the code or anything. So the third and final option is to code your own website. And here we've just got a couple of examples of websites that can give you some tutorials and resources on how you can go around doing this. And the pros of this approach are it's completely free, and you have complete control over what you want to display, the functionality you want to have on the website, and there is lots of help and advice online. Again, because everything is completely open source, all you need is a text editor, and you can get cracking and start writing your own HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Another pro is that it can be very satisfying as well. You can sit and make your own web page in a couple of hours without any prior knowledge. The cons of this approach are that if you don't have much technical knowledge or a very logical brain, it can be quite time consuming to pick it up. So in that respect, it's not for everyone. I wouldn't recommend this approach for everyone to do. But if you're interested, like I say, it can be very rewarding. The other con of it is, while it can be rewarding, the flip side of that is it can be quite frustrating as well, unfortunately. Because as you're coding stuff yourself, you will be responsible for doing stuff like browser testing and checking for bugs and stuff like that. With the other two options I've mentioned before, that's all pretty much taken care of already because it's an established product that you'll be using. So that's the end of that. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Now we can move on to some questions.
Just move back in.
Colleagues would like to come and join me. So we're going to move together a little bit so that you can see us all on the screen together.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Really useful to know about all the different ways to build our website. Now, a few of the questions that we have received in advance from some of the participants today. Maybe it will be good to continue with a suggestion from your side. What free tools are available online that we can use for our online promotion?
Well, some of those I've just spoken about getting your website set up. Obviously, those are all free tools. To promote your website and your brand, obviously social media is pretty much completely free, and that is a very good way to get people engaged with you and your company. So obviously you could set up a Facebook profile and page, invite people to like that, promote that on your website. Also you could set up a Twitter account, Instagram account. Obviously all these social media outlets aren't necessarily needed for every company. It will vary from client to client. Obviously a very corporate brand probably won't have an Instagram account. But kind of if you're selling bicycles to people, then you might have an Instagram account to show lots of pictures of your products and people use them and stuff like that. But I'd say probably the best the best two tools are the ones we've mentioned, and yeah, social media is definitely a very good way to promote your business.
Okay, thank you for this. Before we move further in the social media, could you give us a few suggestions on how to collect valuable feedback on our website? What questions should we ask? Which people should we ask? And how should we organize the whole process? Whether it should be face-to-face or only online or a good mix of both?
Yeah, I think we touched on that earlier in the presentation, where Daniel spoke about using SurveyMonkey and kind of user requirements gathering. And the type of questions you should ask are going to be, if you've got a website already and you're getting feedback on that, then it should be, what do you like about the website, what is working, what frustrates you most about it, and can you find what you need to find? Could you do what you came to the site to do? And what couldn't you do, what frustrated you about it? Also, what their feelings are about the current design of the website. And if it's something that hasn't been created yet, then it would be more along the lines of the stuff Daniel was talking about earlier. What type of brands do you like? What websites do you use? What websites don't you use? What frustrations do you have with any of these services? What do these services offer you that you do like and does work well? In terms of what users to ask and whether to do it offline or online, it's really dependent on what it is you're trying to achieve. Obviously, to set up a SurveyMonkey account and send out a survey, you need to have the emails of the people you're trying to reach. And obviously you can send that out to a lot of people and get a lot of feedback, structured feedback very, very easily. One-to-one kind of interviews, you can get a lot more in-depth information from people. And obviously, if you're doing anything face-to-face as opposed to survey, you can tell when people have more information and kind of get it from them, and you can kind of play it by ear. You can see where people have more to give rather than just asking a single question and getting a one kind of sentence answer on SurveyMonkey. You might get a whole load of information if you're just kind of probing someone or getting them to give more information about the subject we're talking about. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, I think pretty much yes. If you could also go quickly back to the branding and the logo, as most of our student companies are facing the challenge of deciding on this, how to design their logo, what colors to choose. Could you give us a few tips or maybe just directions of what they should keep in mind?
Absolutely. I think creating a logo for your own company is really trying to reflect the personality of the company and in some way being able to describe what the company does within a logo mark or the kind of the design of both the typeface and the image that you want to go with it. Good thing to think about is the target market that you're going for. So something like Disney is a very playful script typeface, which is perfect for its target audience. And you know, sometimes it's good just to think, maybe even just choosing the right typeface. You know, it can be as simple as you want it to be, or it can be very complicated. So something like Sony we identify with this Sony product because it's got a very simple typeface that's really easy to be put on either their print advertising or their actual products, their stereos or so on and so forth. So it's a very chunky typeface. So it's also useful to think about where you're applying that logo to. And off the back of that, what we try and do when we start designing the logo is just work in black and white, because that's going to be the lowest definition of people being able to see your logo. So if it works in black and white and it works at a very small size, i.e. on a business card, then you can transpose that logo across any kind of media, from newspapers right up to the web and ultimately television advertising, something like that. It's also really helpful to look at the competition. So the sector that you're in, have a look at other people's logos and how they're approaching the problem. And equally, looking at what colours they're using. So if you're launching a very corporate brand, you'll notice that a lot of corporate brands incorporate blue. Orange can be seen as modern. Red can be seen as passionate or aggressive. And things like black can be seen as either very sophisticated or quite morbid. So, thinking about what the competition are doing, the audience that you're speaking to, certainly with colour, you have to think about cultural differences, how different countries see colours. So those are kind of the big things to think about when you're putting a logo together, and then it's being able to execute that within ideally a vector-based program like industry standard is Adobe Illustrator, and the reason for that is being able to do it in a vector-based program is that it's easily you can resize it to any size without any degradation of quality. So again, the logo is not just going to appear on your website, hopefully it will appear on your business cards, potentially posters, marketing material, brochures, leaflets and so on. So it needs to be able to work across all those kind of different mediums.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for this. It is definitely important to keep in mind how different nationalities perceive colors, because this is a very common challenge in this international setup. And now if we can move to the social media topic, it's definitely very popular. And I must say that most of our companies are putting their efforts mainly on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Could you share with us a few techniques on how to write engaging posts on Facebook?
For Facebook, I think you just need to make sure that it's not, well, for a start, that it's not too long. If you're creating one, say one specific update, it can't be convoluted, it can't be complicated. The language needs to be very simple and very specific to what you're doing. So if you're looking for someone to go to your website from Facebook, it should the sentence or the phrase should be very specific in, go to our website now to do this, go to our website now to visit this page, go to our website to buy a track, something like that. I think it's just just about making sure that it's very succinct, that you've got a style which is individual, but not too complicated. So I think something that I actually found quite difficult when I started here was that I did an English literature degree. So my writing was very, very complex and it had lots of adjectives, lots of different words, very long-winded, which is fine for a book or an English essay. But when you're writing for the web, you need to be very, 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 not basic, but just very, very simplistic for everyone to understand. So, I mean, that's the sort of question you can ask your users. What sort of language do you relate to? Like, do you want something particularly convoluted, or do you like very, very simple, short phrases? And that's, I mean, to be honest, it really depends on your brand. It's the sort of thing that, as I've been saying, you could make it very simple, but then if your audience actually appreciate, longer, more complicated posts, and that's something you need to find out from them. And I think it's important to have, if you're using several different social media platforms, don't just copy the same post across each one. Make sure that so for Facebook, for example, you can, if you want, you can have quite a long post. It's quite easy to read. You can have images, videos, you can look at all sorts of different things. With Twitter, you do have a character limit, You can put videos and images on there, but it's not quite as effective, I don't think. I think you need to be very specific about what you're posting and what you're doing. So if you're thinking about approaching social media as a marketing tool, you need to think about each one individually and don't just think, because there's platforms like TweetDeck where you can post the same update to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all these different places, but they're actually not appropriate for each one. So you need to, I think that the key is to first find out what your users are looking for, what sort of content they react to and would appreciate, and then tailor that to each social media platform that you're using.
Okay, thank you. We definitely need to keep in mind what is the target audience that we reach to through the different channels. So this is a good learning point. Now one question coming from Poland. What is mood board precisely? This is not a finished project, but precisely what is it? A draft of direction? Could you precise this?
A mood board is the easiest way to think about it is when you decorate a house, you don't just go straight in and buy a set of paint pots and lots of furniture and just put it all in the house. Lots of people just kind of put together a board of suggested colours for the walls, suggested styles of furniture, what light fittings could look like, and that's what you kind of use within the interior decoration business. So we do more or less the same thing within the design of a website. Is we get together examples of interactivity, examples of look and feel, examples of imagery, examples of typefaces, copywriting from various sources, from the web, from books, and so forth. And we put those all onto separate boards. And then we talk through those boards with the client in order to get the client involved with a discussion about what the final website might look like, the kind of creative direction it might follow. So one of those mood boards might be very interactive, very futuristic, with lots of social media on. Another board might be very crisp and clean, a white, corporate looking, and there might be another board which uses very bright colours and is quite fun. And we present these three to the client as examples and get the client's feedback on how they feel some or all of those elements might work going forward within the design of the site itself. And generally they'll pick out various elements within each of the mood boards, but hopefully they'll choose one mood board in which to follow a creative direction. So it enables the client to get involved with a discussion around the look and feel of their website, rather than us going to them and saying, this is what your website is going to look like. And for them to kind of have to agree to that. It enables them to get involved in a creative discussion. And it gives us a bit more direction about a bit more insight into their thinking and their target audience and the kind of clients that we are engaging with the website. So once the mood boards have been discussed, we would then go away and do an actual homepage design, internal page design, based upon the comments we've got and the direction that we've been given from the mood board itself. So in that respect, it enables us to have a much better grasp of what the client wants from that final design. And it enables us to kind of be able to present that final design much closer to their vision than we would otherwise do by just going away and doing a design and then just presenting it without any kind of client feedback on look and feel.
It's the sort of thing that I guess you can, if it's just you, one person, or if you've got, I don't know, 3 of you who are looking to set up a business or build a website, you could each go and create a mood board and just put some ideas together, or do one all together. It just means that as Mark said, before you get to designing the website or the logo, however you choose to do it, if you're drawing it or doing it on on a computer, it just means you've got something to start with, because it is quite daunting just to have a blank screen that you've got nothing, you've got ideas in your head, but you don't know how to piece them together. So it's just like, it's kind of like a pre-qualification process. If you've got those ideas, just get them all down. As Mark said, from the web or books, take photos, do sketches, drawings, anything, words, types of fonts. Just get them all down to a piece of paper and see how they all mesh together, and then you can go into design. I think it's the easiest way of doing it.
It's like a sketch pad.
Yeah.
And it surely also makes the customers or the company owners feel a lot more involved in the whole process, which definitely gives them this even feeling of confidence at a later stage, that they do really like their website and their brand in general. Okay, we have one more question, which was sent in advance. And this is a reminder for the rest of the participants who are online. In case you would like to submit a question, we would have another 5 or 10 minutes, so please feel free to do so. Going back to Facebook, as many of the student companies participating in Enterprise Without Borders many times concentrate on building a really nice Facebook page instead of investing all this time into developing a website. Could you give us a few overall directions on what should we keep in mind when we use Facebook as main communication channel for our business, and how could we build a really engaging and popular Facebook page?
I guess the thing with Facebook is that it's customizable to a point, but you're restricted in what you can do. I mean, you can put your information about your company on there, and I suppose you've got the header banner at the top and your image. So you can give it some sort of identity, which is fine. I mean, if you're happy to have that kind of Facebook looking feed around it, and I suppose it's the cost thing as well, right? So that's fine. In terms of making it engaging, you need to have as much of your brand present on it. So if you do design a logo, make sure your logo is your main picture. If you've got any sort of tagline or strapline for your brand, make sure that's very visible. In terms of posting content, the main mistake that I've seen people make, and some of my clients do it as well, is they send out 10 updates within 1 hour, and then nothing for a week, and then another 10 updates, and then nothing more, because they blow up a few updates and just post them all at once. You need to make sure it's very staggered, so say 1 a day or 1 every couple of days, so people keep seeing you on their Facebook feed, because they're not all there. But if you post however many updates within 1 hour when no one's using the internet, they're never going to see you. But that's not. So even though you've got a lot of updates on your page, it doesn't mean that people can see you. There's also, I'm pretty sure, that Facebook has analytics as well. Does it? I'm sure there's analytics on Facebook where you can see how many people are visiting your page and where they're visiting you from. It's not that complex or detailed, but there is something there for you to see. So I guess Facebook's a perfectly good platform for doing that. You just need to make sure that, as we said before, the content is tailored to your audience. That your updates are staggered over time, so quite regular rather than one big blast one day and then nothing the next day. And just making sure you've got as much of your brand on that page as well. And also contact details. Which depending on what you're selling or what you're doing, you need to make sure that people are able to contact you. It's all very well and good having a website or a Facebook page or a Twitter page, but if you've got no kind of call to actions, we call them, so if you've got no points of contact us now, buy this now, and they're not obvious, then nothing's going to happen. It's just a blurb for your company. So you need to make sure those are present as well.
Thank you for this question. It seems that Facebook is really the most popular option amongst young people, and they are also quite creative, so not hard for them to come up with some engaging posts or campaigns on Facebook. Thank you all for presenting today for us. Daniel, Mark, and Walter, it was a pleasure for us. The webinar is being recorded, and we'll be able to upload the presentation and also the answers to the questions on the Enterprise Without Borders website, so people will be able to refer to this. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope that this was really useful for you, and hope to hear from you soon again. Good luck with your companies, good luck in the Enterprise Without Borders program, and talk to you soon.
If any of you want to ask us any questions after this, you can by all means drop me an email.